a complete thought. So, what are the two things required for something to be a clause? Whether independent or dependent subordinate, what are the two things required for something to be a clause? A subject and a verb. Otherwise known as SV. Okay? So, every clause has a subject and a verb. Independent, dependent, subordinate, doesn't matter. Every clause has a subject and a verb. Every clause has a subject and a verb. Okay? So, my dog, subject, eats, verb. Okay? Very simple. Now, sometimes you have this optional third thing in the sentence. Anybody know what that is?
Object.
Object. Not objective, object, but close. This is always a noun. Okay? So, my dog eats food. Actually, let's back up. Dog eats food. Dog eats food. Subject, dog. What does dog do? Eats. What does he eat? Food. Now, I can continue to throw words in here, and as long as they are not a noun or a verb, or a subject or a verb, I can keep throwing words in here and it'll stay a simple sentence. So, for example, my dog eats food. Still an independent clause. My pretty dog eats food. My pretty dog eats dog food. See how we can continue to build? It's still subject, verb, object. It's still a sentence. Okay? So, that's an independent clause. Then there are subordinate clauses. Okay. So, before I go to subordinate clauses, I want to go to conjunctions. So, if I would like to combine two independent clauses, what do I use? Anybody? Try the paper. What type of words do I use to combine two sentences? Don't overthink it.
Coordinating conjunction.
A coordinating conjunction. Now remember, the most important things are not what I write on the board, but what comes out of my mouth. The most important things are not only what I write on the board, but also what comes out of my mouth. This is terribly important. Conjunctions are part of a family. In the same way that they have the same last name, they are a family. They are a very large family, okay? The brothers in the family are called coordinating conjunctions. But there are also sisters, who we will get to later. So, some of you might have met these brothers before. Has anybody come into contact with the fanboys before? So what are the coordinating conjunctions? Okay, and is here. Or is here. But is here.
Nor. Yet.
Yet.
So.
So this is a little brother. He's the youngest. He needs a lot of attention. So you often start your sentences with so, and it's so wrong to use so much. But because he's the youngest brother, he gets a lot more attention than the other brothers, and you end up using him more often than you should. You should probably stop. He should not begin all the sentences just because he's a brat and he wants to hop about your pen on a regular basis doesn't mean you let him, okay? You should go in the middle of the sentence like all the rest of his brothers. He does not get to start sentences because he's a brat. 4, the eldest brother. old because when you use him, he sounds like Old English. We'll get to that in a second. All right? So, if we have, see, there he goes. Just stop. It's also really short. Just sneaks a bunch of out. If we want to combine two independent clauses, we need coordinating conjunctions. Okay? So, coordinating conjunctions are the fanboys, but these are not the only type of conjunctions. A bit about punctuation. So, coordinating conjunctions are one way to combine. There is another way to combine. It is this. What's this? Semicolon. Does anyone actually know how you use a semicolon? That's one way you can possibly do it, but do you know why? Anybody know what a semicolon means? Okay, this is going to make you read. So, what's this? What does a period mean? No. What does a period mean? Anybody? It's okay. Period actually means end of a complete thought. It doesn't mean the end of a sentence. It means the end of a complete thought. It means everything that came before this is an independent clause in and of itself. Right? Then we have this. What does that mean? Guess. It's okay. You're going to say pause and you're going to say it's wrong. Let's all try it now. What does comma mean? There it is. Good job, Liz. More ideas to come. So, what would happen if we put a period on top of a comma? What would it mean? What would it mean? With more ideas to come. And that's why a semicolon works as a conjunction. A semicolon is the end of a thought with more ideas to come. End of a complete thought with more ideas to come. My dog eats dog food. He is hungry. My dog eats dog food. Complete thought. He is hungry. Complete thought. I add them together. My dog is hungry. My dog eats dog food. He is hungry. I can combine them with the semicolon. Because although there's more to come, they're talking about the same general thing. Watch. Or I can replace it with a conjunction. Old conjunction. My dog eats dog food, for he is hungry. See, my dog now sounds fancy. Okay? But I used a conjunction instead of a semicolon. Now, there are other ways to combine independent clauses. Several of them. We're not going to go through all of them because, wow, you know the two main ways. Semicolon and conjunction. Now, word on punctuation. What do we put before a coordinating conjunction? Get used to this look. Boop, 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 boop. If it doesn't look like this, something probably went wrong. Okay? Now, in about 2 weeks, we'll get to how the brothers like to dress up in their sisters' clothing, and sometimes they like to act like subordinating conjunctions, but that's a lesson for another time, okay? But just keep in mind that the brothers sometimes like to dress up like their sisters. So, there we go. If we're going to talk about independent clauses, to get this understanding, since we already began the lesson, whenever you use a subordinate clause, anybody see anything wrong with those sentences? Did those sound complete to you? Or did they make you feel icky, like you wanted more? That's because they weren't complete sentences. Those were subordinate clauses, okay? So what is a subordinate clause? So it's expressed as a partial or incomplete thought. Okay, so independent clauses, gotta think of them as date, okay? An independent clause is a clause that can either be in a relationship or it can stand by itself. That's fine. Subordinate clauses, not at all. Subordinate clauses are not strong, independent women. They need to constantly be up under somebody. So, a subordinate clause needs what type of conjunction? Guess. Subordinating conjunction. You probably heard these referred to as the following. And now this term is dead, okay? You're grown-ups now. Stop using the phrase transition words. They're called subordinating conjunctions. They have a real life name. We're going to use it. It's like that day that you stop calling your friend man. Yeah, okay. Today's the day that we stop calling subordinating conjunctions transition words. They're common. Although, if, whenever, however, even though, because, we know what the subordinating conjunctions are. We use them very often, even though we didn't know what to call them formally, okay? It's like that friend that you've been calling Casper your whole life, and then you realize you don't actually know his name. Yeah, those are subordinating conjunctions. You didn't know what to really call them. So, they are the sisters of the coordinating conjunctions, and there are a lot more of them. So we're not going to go into all of them. However, if you look at your handout, I think it's the top of page 77, so 76 is the left side, 77 is the right side. There's a box with some coordinating conjunctions and some subordinating conjunctions. That's enough to get you started, but their family is much larger. Okay? So, subordinating conjunctions cannot stand alone. For example, subordinating conjunctions icky feeling? That was the subordinate clause. Subordinate clauses are clauses that cannot stand alone. You can generally hear them. They need to either be at the beginning of an independent clause or the end. They need to be at the beginning of an independent clause or the end. They need to be at the beginning of an independent clause or at the end. My fancy dog eats dog food because, subordinating conjunction, he is hungry. Okay? Or, because he is hungry, my fancy dog eats dog food. It doesn't matter where it goes, just like a clingy boyfriend or girlfriend. It doesn't matter if they sit next to you, on the right of you, on the left of you, right on your lap, if you sit on there. As long as you're within close proximity to touch them, they're good. Once you step away, they start to freak out and feel icky. Same thing with the subordinate clause. Once the independent clause goes off on its own, the subordinate clause can't really stand by itself. and it starts to sound weird, okay? So that's how you have to think of it. Subordinate clauses versus independent clauses. Independent clauses can stand on their own. Now, that being said, what do we call a healthy relationship? When we have two strong independent clauses that come together using a coordinating conjunction. What would we call that? Compound sentence. So a compound sentence is two independent clauses. So an independent clause plus a coordinating conjunction plus another independent clause is a compound sentence. My dog ate and he is full. Great sentence. Compound sentence. My dog ate and he is full. Yes, but I'm in the middle of class.
She told me to just drop it off.
Yeah. So tell Miss Doherty she's not allowed to send people to my class 36th period.
You can tell her, because I didn't know. It wasn't mine. I told her, I said, I didn't want to disturb you. I said, are you sure?
Yeah, there's in the future there's signs out there as to when I'm in class. Okay, so two independent clauses are compound sentences. So if we have a super clingy person, which is a subordinate clause, and then we have this very nice independent clause, and they get together. What relationship status would we probably put on Facebook? If we don't really want to be in that relationship, they won't leave us alone. What do we check? It's complicated or complex sentence. So a complex sentence is subordinating conjunction, subordinate clause, subordinating conjunction, plus independent clause. Or it could be the other way around, because subordinating conjunctions are all in their feeling. So it could be a subordinating conjunction, plus a subordinate clause, independent clause. Whichever way you want to go. Whichever way you want to go, doesn't matter. It's an annoying person. Okay? Oops, sorry. This should be independent clause first. And subordinate clause there. Okay? So, you can put the subordinate clause or conjunction there. That creates a complex sentence, okay? Now, there's one more type of sentence. What if I am a strong, independent clause, and I meet another strong, independent clause, but my old subordinating clause boyfriend won't really let me go? What does that become? A compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence is when you have a subordinating clause and an independent clause and another independent clause. My compound relationship is getting complex because the subordinating clause won't let me go. It's clingy. It can't stand on its own. It will not leave me alone. And so I'm over here trying to have a nice compound relationship. And this subordinate clause is up under me, so now I have a compound and complex relationship. And I'm considering just going back to being single. Or a simple sentence. Which is just one independent clause by itself. Dog ate. I am tired of because he is hungry. My dog ate, and now he is full. My dog ate. I just want to go back to being a simple sentence. I just want to be single. I don't need this subordinating. I don't need this other conjunction. I don't need this independent clause. My dog ate. That's it. I'm back to being a simple sentence. Maybe I'll go, my dog ate, coordinating conjunction, and now he is full. Now we're a compound sentence. But that whole compound complex, because subordinating conjunction, he was hungry, that was an independent clause. He ate, now he is full. It's too much sentence for me. Okay? So, a simple sentence is just an independent clause. A compound sentence is an independent clause with the coordinating conjunction and independent clause. If you take an independent clause and you put a subordinating conjunction before it, look how it's not even an and, it just gets clingy. You have to add it to another independent clause. That becomes a compound sentence. You can also do it this way. And then if you have a subordinating conjunction and an independent clause and another independent clause, then we have a complex compound sentence. Those are the 4 types of sentences. A word about punctuation. So, subordinated conjunctions, the brothers, like commas. They want commas to be right up under them and near them. Subordinated conjunctions know they need commas, but they don't really want to deal with them. So, subordinating conjunctions have comma. Subordinating conjunctions have subordinating at the end of the whole clause. So, if I were to say, comma, when you write a subordinating clause, comma, you don't put the comma near the when, you don't put the comma near the because, you put it at the end of the subordinating clause. What if the because comes at the end of the sentence and the subordinating clause comes at the end of the sentence? And what do we put at the end of the sentence? Period. Because you've completed the thought. It's an independent clause. There's a subordinate clause, but we completed the thought because the independent clause existed. Does that make sense? Okay. So, last test. What happens if we have 3 independent clauses together? What happens if a boyfriend meets a girlfriend and then he has another girlfriend? What happens if we have 3 independent clauses together? What is that called? Huh? A run-on sentence. And just like run-on sentences are bad, if a girlfriend has a girlfriend and then one of those 2 girlfriends decides to get another girlfriend without telling one of the others, that is not a good sentence. That is not a good relationship. Does that make sense? In the same way that a relationship should only be person A, person B, unless y'all talk about it. A sentence should only be person A, person B. When you've got sentence A, sentence B, sentence C, and you just keep throwing in conjunction, in the same way that that relationship's going to get real messy, that sentence gets really messy. So, if we are in a monogamous sentence-ship, 3 or more independent clauses equals a run-on. And just like you should probably avoid a relationship with 3 or more people unless you want stuff to get real jealous and real sticky real quickly, you should always avoid a sentence with more than 2 independent clauses. Because once you get 3 independent clauses, it gets real sticky, it gets real ugly, codependent clauses start getting jealous of each other, okay? That makes sense? So we're going to try this out. Everybody take a post-it. You are gonna write me 3 sentences. You're gonna start from the back here, and from the front,